question says, could you please expound on a statement that goes as, do not fatigue, do not become tired and give up and quit in seeking knowledge. For if you do, I fear that it will be equivalent to one turning his back on the battlefield and running from the battlefield. Now, very important question. I've never heard this statement before, but I would say that the statement means that seeking knowledge is a type of jihad fi sabilillah. There's no doubt about that. Okay? In the Quran and in the Hadiths, we learn that seeking ilm is a type of jihad. And that's because the deen, as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah has explained, yaqum, it says it stands on two things. It stands on a pen and it stands on a what? The sword. When I say this, it stands on a pen and a spear. Or as we say in HD madhab, right? Abdul Qawi is not here. Hadith disciples, school of thought, the pen and the sword are what? One thing. There is no the scholar's blood, the scholar's ink is more hot. La la la. The martyr's blood and the scholar's ink are what? They're supposed to be one. The pen and the sword, there is no who's mightier. They're supposed to be what? My pen is a sword and my sword is a what? It's a pen. You understand this? Long live what? I tell you, everybody can learn this or not. So with that being said, talab al-ilm is a type of jihad fi sabilillah. So if it's a type of jihad fi sabilillah, what's the ruling of a person being a coward on the battlefield? The general rule is that it's haram and it's a major sin. As it's mentioned in chapter 8, Surah Al-Anfal, and as it's mentioned in authentic hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, اجتنبوا السبع الموبقات, avoid the 7 destroyers. And from them, وَالتَّوَلِّي يَوْمَ الزَّحْفِ. All right? وَمَنْ يُوَلِّهِمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ دُبُرَهُ إِلَّا متحرفا لقتال أو متحيزا إلى فئة فقد باء بغضب من الله ومأواه جهنم. Oh man, you guys, man. How much dust and rust I have in my head, I mean. These guys don't have a fraction of my stress, sins, and problems. They can't what? They can't keep up. Allahu musta'an. Allahu musta'an. Al-Muhim, turning your back on the battlefield is a major sin. Unless there's certain conditions, such as a ruse, a trick, laying bait to the enemy, decoy, or such as the ulama of Islam explained, if a person is grossly outnumbered, in which is certain death and is of no point in you dying and fighting there, or unless a person wishes to rally with another group of the believers. The details of turning your back. The default rule is that it's what? A major sin, and it cannot be done. So if jihad and talab al-ilm share parallels, turning your back from the battlefield and turning your back from talab al-ilm, dropping out of school, quitting, giving up, discarding your classes, discarding your teacher, is also going to share what? Parallels. That's what it means. Don't fatigue, meaning don't quit, don't give up. Seeking knowledge is hard, it's burdensome, wallahi, it's not an easy road. And I've only sought a little bit of knowledge in my short life. And I only have a little bit of knowledge in my short life. But I can tell you for sure, without no humility or humbleness, seeking knowledge is not that simple. It's not a piece of cake. And it demands a great deal of sacrifice. And it also demands a great deal of suffering. And that's why the golden principle of Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhuma, he says, tell the student of knowledge to buy a pair of iron sandals. That's the first thing you need, Yahi. Not a pen and a thobe and a kufi and tazkiyah and this book and kitab al-tawheed. The first thing you need is iron sandals because it's hard and it's long. So seeking knowledge is not an easy, simple, slice of cherry pie as people try to make it seem. It's not romantic and no, it's full of tough, rough stuff. Brothers who've known me for years, they've known some of the sacrifices that we had to go through to this day. So with that being said, don't give up. Don't quit. Don't turn your back. Because I fear that you'll be included in those who turn their backs on the Yawm al-Zahf. And that's because we can read a book, or we can watch a movie, or watch a documentary, or learn something in history, or watch a cartoon, or talk tough and rough. But as the wise man said, war is enjoyable to all those who haven't experienced it. War is fun and sounds good to those who what? Never went to war. Do you realize what it means? Jihad fi sabilillah, or non-Muslims fighting. You may not come back. You're going to lose your life. Your wife, your children, your friends, your is gone. You're going to die, and it's a huge possibility that you're going to be in the first wave of casualties. You play chess, pieces must what? You have to get rid of pieces. Pawns, you can't keep the pieces. Soldiers are meant to die. That's real deep psychology right there. You are not going to, half of you guys aren't going to make it back. 9 out of 10 of you guys aren't going to make it back to your comfortable beds and your wives and your mothers home cooking. You're going to die on the battlefield. Or if you don't die on the battlefield, you'll be wounded. You know what it's like when you cut your finger? You know when you cut your finger by accident, what it feels like, how it burns? You know that burning feeling? That's your flesh. Everyone understands it's being ripped apart. So imagine someone sticking a spear in your chest, throwing a javelin into your chest, cutting you with a sword. You get hit with a bullet. How many miles per hour is the bullet traveling? How hot is the bullet? I was reading an article in Atlantic City at the conference. We were in a barbershop, read an article about what goes on, the science behind a bullet entry. It's deep, ahi. The things that take place the moment that bullet hits your body. It's deep. It's not a joke. So it's nice to talk about war, but you've never been shot. You've never been stabbed. You've never been in a fist fight. You've never been in a real fight. You say you don't have a real bone in what? In your body. That's the only thing. So it's easy to talk about it. But the concept of injury, of death, of suffering, it's not an easy thing. So when the law says don't turn your backs on them, that's not just an easy, simple cup of tea that you just drink up. To stand firm, to be brave in the face of direct harm. That takes strong iman. And the same applies to talabul ilm. To know that you're going to go through this problem and you're going to lose this and you can't have this and you're going to lose this friend and you're going to get divorced and this one is going to talk about you and this one and that one. It takes a lot of strength. And that's why talabul ilm is only built for what? Few people. It's not built for what? For everybody. Because it's such a special thing. And that's why everyone loves a hero. Everyone loves a what? A hero and a warrior. Because only a few men can actually what? Or a few women can actually become that. So I think that's what that statement means. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina wa imamina Muhammad.